Thank you, Diana. Before we begin, I would like to ask, would a couple of people on either side crack our windows? Because today is an unusually warm weather day. I understand it's 79 degrees. Thank you. Yeah, we just need some air movement. Thank you. Okay. So today is a very special day. We are going to be hearing from our Daytimers. That is a group that meets the third Thursday of the month for a lunch, and they share life stories together. So this month we are thinking about belonging and what it feels like to belong, sometimes not belonging. So they are going to be sharing their stories with us. Here at the Universalist Unitarian Church of Farmington, every day, in every way, we bid you welcome. In this community of radical inclusion, we make space for what you believe, who you are, what you love, and who you love. Your whole self is welcome here. It is important that you showed up today. Gathering in community is an act of rebellion against isolation and hopelessness. Knowing this to be true, please repeat after me. We are rebels for hope. We are rebels for hope. And that we are. My name is Reverend Karen Madrone, and I am serving as your service leader today. My pronouns are she and her. Thank you for spending your Sunday morning with us, whether you're enjoying the service in person or watching online or on YouTube, sometimes live or in the future. I'd like to extend a special welcome to any visitors here today. After the service, we invite you to stay for coffee and conversations downstairs in our reception hall. Please take a moment, to silence your phones, but always feel welcome to share about finding this community of welcome and open welcomeness. So turn off your phones, but they can be on vibrate if you need them to be. Today, we are doing a Caring Sunday collection for Staying in Closer Touch, a local program that links incarcerated parents with their children through reading and other family literacy practices with the goal of nurturing closer parent-child relationships and fostering a love of books and literacy. Volunteers enter correctional facilities to connect with mothers, fathers, and grandparents to help them select a book for their child. They record them reading to their child, and the recording, the brand new book, and a personal, artistically created card by the parent is sent to the child. The goal is to encourage love of reading and books by the link created between the parent and their child. When we have the offering collection later in our service, please place cash or checks to Staying in Closer Touch in the envelope you received from the ushers when you arrived, or use the QR code that is on the envelope to donate online. Spooktober is right around the corner, and that means treats on the trail, which it will be on Sunday, October 6th. I'm only hesitating because I'm looking around for Becca. I don't see Becca, but she is our person who organizes the treats on the trail. And if you are somebody who really likes to do that, I know some of ours, like Ellen, who has had a spot on the trail, and I know some of our other folks here have had a spot on the trail. It is a wonderful thing we do for both our children and the larger community. We invite everybody to come through our woods and get some treats and experience Halloween in a different way. So we need help with food table decorating and cleanup. If you can do that, I was going to say again, see Becca, who is not in the room, but I know that her email is probably in the e-blast. So who knows what is happening on Saturday, November 8th? The auction, yay! And now is the time to donate and register. So what is the auction? It is a silent and live auction that supports UCF's building and grounds. All of the money raised goes towards our operating budget for what we need to pay our bills and expenses over the course of the year. So it is a very important fundraiser. So our theme this year is living in the mitten and really digging into what our identity is here, living here in Michigan. And we encourage people to dress up, but it's not necessary. Maybe there's something that calls to you from a special memory or something you want to share. So how much does it cost? It's $25 to attend, which includes a scrumptious dinner, snacks, and beverages, including beer and wine. So what if it's your first time attending? Well, the party is on us. Registration is waived. Just let us know this is your first time. We do not charge first-timers because we want you to feel welcome to come. And what can you donate? You can donate dinners, parties, events, tours, services, any items of value, anything that can be enjoyed by others, and let your creative spirit go, whatever it is that you have a talent or skill that you would like to share with others. And then how do you donate? We have registration codes in the e-blast and the magnet, and downstairs there's a poster that has the QR codes for that. So please get involved and support our beloved community. This is one of the biggest ways we do this all year. If you have additional questions, see a member of the fundraising committee, and I'm going to read your name. If you are here, then please raise your hand. Karen Duguay, Julie Adis, Linda Brown, way back there, George Rourke down here, Barb Eglinton, Mark Petrie, Ted Goldberg, Brian Golden, and Tom Adis are all members of the fundraising committee. So the opportunities for connection this week are choir rehearsal Monday evening. If you have an interest in singing, I encourage you to come talk to Diana. We have a men's lunch on Tuesday, and I know this doesn't sound like a lot of fun, but this is a big part of what we do here. Is the first Wednesday of the month is our program council meeting, and it is open to everybody, whether you're a committee chair or not, just so you can learn how does this place operate. You are also welcome to attend and reach out to Mark Petrie, who is the chair of that committee. With all of that said and done, we begin our chalice lighting today, which is the symbol of our faith that we are going to share with the words from our mission statement. The mission statement is written on the inside of your order of service. So please join in reading our mission statement in unison. We seek answers everywhere, include everyone, and live with compassion. Please join in body or spirit to sing number 1 in our gray hymnal, May Nothing Evil Cross This Door. Every Sunday, we take a few minutes to share our joys and concerns, what is holding in our hearts. Going to begin with a reading from Julian Jamaica Soto. It says, "We hold hope close." In this community, we hold hope close. We don't always know what comes next, but that cannot dissuade us. We don't always know just what to do, but that does not mean that we are lost in the wilderness. We rely on the certainty beneath the foundation of our values and ethics. We are the people who return to love like a North Star and to the truth that we are greater together than we are alone. Our hope does not live in some glimmer of an indistinct future. Rather, we know the way to the world of which we dream, and by covenant and the movement forward of one right action and the next, we know that one day we will arrive at home. In this time where we share our joys and sorrows, you're welcome to come pick up a stone from our table or stones and infuse them with your energy of your joy or sorrow and place them in the singing bowl where the energy will ripple out among our community and be held tight. If you would like to share something instead from verbally, feel free to come up to the microphone, say your name, speak directly into the microphone, and if you have, so that everybody can hear you clearly. Before we begin, Marie Lowry is going to come up and share, and Jamie, if you could make sure. silent sanctuary of our hearts, one for the joys, one for the sorrows, and one for the strength of the gathered community that can support you and bring you peace. It's okay. It's not going to work. Let us take the sorrows and joys we've heard, bring them into ourselves here in this space. Let's take a moment of silence here together and hold a space, knowing that this is a community of love. This is a community that cares very, very deeply. This is a community that responds when a request is made. This is a community that loves and holds us all, even when we're afraid, even when we don't know what the next step is. We hold each other, knowing that together we are stronger. Together we may not know exactly what the next step is, but we will come together and work on building the world we wish to see. Let us hold a moment of silence together. From your seats, we're going to sing number 1023, Building Bridges, and Ellen and Linda are going to help us learn that. Just for a notice for our ushers, I've changed one slight thing. We're going to move the offering just a little bit back, but I'll let you know.
You know the drill, sing it through once together, and then we'll break off to sing it twice in rounds.
I'd like you to join me in a litany of belonging written by Liz Weber. We're going to do this in two parts. And so your part in this section, where it's two sections, so this is the first section. So would like you to repeat after me this line, "We all belong together." Let's practice that. We all belong together. So I'm going to show the whole section. I'm going to read the first part, and I would like us all to read the second part together. If you are an immigrant or migrant, you belong. We all belong together. If you are Black, brown, indigenous, or a person of color, you belong. We all belong together. If you speak Spanish, you belong. We all belong together. If you are bi or trilingual or any number of languages, we all belong together. If you are Muslim, you belong. We all belong together. If you are Jewish, you belong. We all belong together. If you are unhoused or homeless, you belong. We all belong together. If you support equity, you belong. We all belong together. If you yearn for justice, you belong. We all belong together. Thank you. And now we will begin to hear from some of our speakers, beginning with Joan Ramsey and followed by George Rourke.
Good morning. It's been a long time since I've stood up in this pulpit. It's a long time coming, and I wanted to tell you why I came here and what I found here and why I keep coming. Even though, as you can see, I've gotten pretty old. My early experiences in church were pretty mixed. I started out with a kind of rigid Lutheran church in Detroit. Well, before that, up north in Wisconsin sometimes. But I never felt comfortable. I had to do things. I had to do the rituals. And rituals aren't bad. They're good. They bring you together. But I never quite felt welcome or wanted. And then when I was 17, it came true, my worst fears. They kicked me out. The Lutheran Church didn't want me anymore. They told me not to come to communion. Well, I found a different place. Since going to my boyfriend's church occasionally was the sin I had committed, I started going with him to his more liberal church, congregational, and they were welcoming, sort of. They said they loved everybody, and they almost did. Not quite, but they tried. So then I married my boyfriend, and we had a couple of children, daughters. And then I wanted to find a better church for my children who were growing up. And since I was about to have another baby, I was very concerned about how I would raise my children in the 60s. And in my heart, I think I was probably a hippie. I just couldn't act it out because, after all, I had now 3 children to raise. So my husband, who was a printer, started reading some of the things that he was printing and selling to First Church downtown, the First Unitarian Church in Detroit. And he started bringing some of that printed material home. And we learned about Universalist Unitarian churches. And we found one out in Farmington that was closer to us in Livonia. And we turned up once. And then we went on, and we turned up again 6 months later. But this time, it was not this sweet little white church in downtown Farmington. It was this church, which ended then right at that beam, small, with a steeple. It was up on blocks, ready to be moved, this 7 acres. And so we began coming with our 3 daughters now. And we came pretty regularly, and we were welcomed. And we made friends here. And it was a good thing for us. It was a place where we could be, our children were welcomed. They were comfortable here. And we were happy here. And as this church got moved here, we began to feel that we had come to a place that was both new and very old. It had traditions, but it had openness. It had newness. It was aware of where our nation was going. And we participated in those things. We were good coming here. It was good and it was useful. We protested the Vietnam War, and then I found a feminist group here, and we changed, and I found a way of being and a way to express myself as well. So, then I was 30 years old, I had 3 kids, and I found out that I had a desire to do more in the world. And so I found a profession. It wasn't easy becoming a social worker, starting with a high school degree. And from that lovely school downtown Detroit, Castech. But I found a way to grow here and to manage somehow to handle all the things that come your way when you're raising 3 daughters, trying to keep a husband happy. That wasn't always easy. And trying to find your way in the world. But I found at around 30 what I wanted out of life and how to get it. I was still young enough, and I did. And this church has always supported me. It's become like home to me. So even when my children grew up and went their own path, that was okay with me. And when many times, there were times when I suppose we could have left the church, times when we were busy, times when money was tight or whatever was happening in our life. But we kept coming, and they kept loving us. And so we learn to love our family here. And for me now, this church has become more of a home than any place I've lived in my life. And so it is home to me. So I'm still here. And you know, I think that this is a place where you too can find a home. If you're new here, or if you've only been here a short time, I want you to know that if you keep coming here, you too can find a home here, a home, a forever home. This church has been around a long time, a lot longer than any political figure, a lot longer than any single person. It has a history of belonging. It has a history of political action. It has a history of loving. And so, I want to welcome you here, each and every one of you, whether you're new, whether you're young, whether you're old, whether you're middle-aged, no matter where you are in your life, I want to welcome you here because we all need somebody. And here at this church, we want you, we welcome you, and we need you, every last one of you. Thank you.
Well, good morning. Our topic this morning is belonging. I very much feel I belong here, within this congregation and within this building. I've been here 58 years, not as long as Joan Ramsey or Barb Windsor, but quite a while. Belonging here has made a great impact on my life, leading me to sometimes make decisions I never would have made were it not for me being part of this congregation. Being able to discuss openly and sincerely life decisions with others, sometimes others with very different points of view. Our congregation is clearly composed of different people today than it was 50+ years ago. But the ability to speak to each other, espousing different views on life, has been a hallmark of life at UUCF. I can recall the first Sunday I attended here. I sat over there, east side of the building, back row, trying to be a fly on the wall, wondering what I was going to find here. The minister was Bob Eddy, and back then, just as Joan said, the front wall of the meeting house was right where that beam is. Obviously, that impressed both Joan and I. I'm not sure why. The recorded music being played at the start of the service was Handel's Water Music. A number of people came up to me after the service and talked with me, and I felt welcomed. Over the next 58 years, there has been a lot of change. The congregation has changed. The philosophical priorities of UUism has changed. The building has changed, and I have changed. The congregation has changed with time, of course. People leaving, people dying, new people joining. I think I have known over 90% of the people named on the plaques in our memorial garden. Many were friends. Many impacted my life to a degree I'm sure they didn't realize. It happened when we had conversations about life, when we gathered at parties or rites of passage, when we sat one-on-one and talked about important happenings in our life. My friends shared their thoughts and feelings about significant challenges that they were facing. It inspired me to better understand where I had control in my life and to direct it in ways I wanted it to go. That's what people in a loving community do. I mentioned philosophical priorities in UUism changing. For most of the history of Universalism and Unitarianism, we were Christian, Bible-based churches. As time went on, the emphasis shifted to individual interpretation of the Bible, and indeed to looking at other than biblical sources for answers of how one lives one life. By the late 1960s, when I arrived, many in UUism were people leaving Christianity for various reasons, but wanting to be in a community where you talked about values, the values one should hold in life, where spirituality should fit in. What kind of spirituality? Indeed, if there should be any spirituality at all. At that time at UUCF, there was a strong bent towards humanism, agnosticism, and atheism. At that time, I was having a hard reaction to Christianity and being with thoughtful, loving people that considered other very different possibilities was wonderful. Whole new ways of seeing life opened up to me. It certainly led me to make decisions I would not have otherwise even considered. In the 70s and 80s, there was attention on individual development and understanding, encounter groups, philosophy discussion groups, book groups, reading I'm Okay, You're Okay, games people play, and such. The rise of feminism, all important parts of life at UUCF. In this century, I see another change in emphasis in UUism with a rise in interest in looking through many different spiritual lenses. That can be seen here at UUCF when you look at the banners hanging on our walls. Banners that recognize the wisdom in many different philosophies. The monotheistic group, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Eastern thought, Buddhism, Hinduism, Taoism, the wisdom of earth-centered spirituality, the power of rationality with humanism, agnosticism, and atheism. All of them offering wisdom that has been gleaned over millennia. Wisdom we are encouraged to consider as we each shape our own spiritual path. So, I still very much feel I belong here. I'm part of a congregation that says every Sunday morning that we seek answers everywhere, include everyone, and live with compassion. While those objectives are difficult to always achieve, we strive for them. And it is an excellent brief summary of my personal ethics. UUCF is my extended family, the people I actually see most often. Together we go through life celebrating births, graduations, weddings, sharing joy, and sometimes grief and sadness. Over the years, I've learned much from you. I would be a far different person if it weren't for this church. I'm thankful that this church was here for me. I'm hopeful it will be here for many others in the future.
In a minute, we're going to collect our offering, and just a reminder that today we're doing a Caring Sunday collection. So if feel free to use the envelopes that you were given for the collection for Staying in Closer Together. For the gifts which we have received and the gifts which we ourselves are, may we be truly grateful. May we be committed to using these gifts to make a difference in the world, to increase love and justice, to decrease hatred and oppression, to expand beloved community, to share and to keep sharing as long as we ever can. You are now invited to participate in the blessing of giving as the ushers come among you to accept the gifts of the congregation. You may also give online via the QR code on the back of the order of service. Please join in our offering dedication in your order of service to the work of creating beloved community within and beyond these walls. We dedicate ourselves and our offerings. And please join me for the second section of our litany of belonging. If you are poor, working class, or in public benefits, you belong. We all belong together. If you are trans or non-binary, you belong. We all belong together. If you are any stripe of anywhere on the spectrum of LGBTQ, you belong. We all belong together. If you are HIV positive or have AIDS, you belong. We all belong together. If you have had an abortion, you belong. We all belong together. If you are immunocompromised, chronically ill, or disabled, you belong. We all belong together. If you are a scientist or a public health professional, you belong. We all belong together. If you are a teacher or a librarian or an artist, you belong. We all belong together. If you are looking out for your neighbor, you belong. We all belong together. If you are in this for the long haul, you belong. We all belong together. All of us, all together, belong. We all belong together. Thank you. And now we have a couple more sharings, and I just want to acknowledge that this service may go a little longer than people are usually comfortable with, and I want you to just acknowledge that feeling for yourself, and if you need to leave a few minutes early, that's okay too. But we are trying to make space for stories. So Joan McGlincy is going to share, and then Mike DeMott, and then John Modine.
I see my percussions.
Yes,
Is back.
a woodpecker, but that's okay.
Hi, everybody. I'm Joan McGlincy and one of the daytimers. A little bit closer. I got thinking about 1 o'clock this morning. I didn't like what I was going to talk about, so I changed my mind, as people are wont to do. But I got thinking about my progression in knowing the world and how that reflects in belonging. My parents moved to Clarkston, which is north of Pontiac, when I was an infant. It was a small town, white, Protestant, and conservative. It had one stoplight and rural surroundings. In fact, on Halloween, the teenagers brought farm equipment into the town in the main street. In the 9th grade, I decided I wanted to find out a little bit more about what was out there. So my parents, deciding that perhaps they should emphasize my Catholicism, decided that I would go to a Catholic school in Pontiac. Now, Pontiac was a small city. GM was really active at that time. It was really a bustling city. It had a big downtown. The school, it was white, but the people in the town were Black, Latino, and a lot of very poor people. They all lived in the south part of Pontiac, however. It was blue collar, and I came to know a little bit about how the nuns, because they were all nuns at that point, and a couple of priests, instilled some civility into us, which was good. But one of the big changes, it was a dress code, mostly for girls. We were told we had to wear blouses under our sweaters, lest we would, I guess, create a problem for the boys. And when I played girls' basketball, we had to wear bloomers and play on half the court, because if we played on the whole court, we'd probably have vapors, I guess they thought. When we went to formal dances like the prom, because I went the 10th and 12th, 11th and 12th grade, we had to go to the convent to get tickets to get into the dance, and they checked our dresses, and if they weren't modest, they had a bag of tulle and lace and things that they would put on the front of their dress, and then they would come over and check us during the dance to make sure we hadn't taken any of that off. So, but I got thinking, several girls left to live with relatives in mid-school year, and some got married and a baby soon followed, but there was no discussion of sexuality. And I kind of thought, that's kind of heavy on the girls. What are the boys doing at this point? But I did graduate in 1955, which you can add up and know how old I am. But I did make friends, and I did improve, did like the emphasis on civility and proper behavior. Whenever I see men eating in restaurants with baseball caps on, I can think of a nun coming along behind them and knocking that cap off. So then I moved to the University of Detroit, which was in Detroit, and that was another experience. It was another bigger city, actually. We had to live in rooms, in homes, private homes, or we had rented a house at one point, several of us. So we went from the control of the school to no control. And I felt very sorry for our landlady, Miss Smith, who had to put up with renting out her house to a bunch of girls in order to keep it, because we were probably not the best tenants in the world. But what that offered me was an opportunity to meet more people. I had met people from immigrant and Appalachian heritage when I was in Pontiac at the school, and now I was meeting more people of different. And one of the things that I really liked was there was a huge Jewish population at U of D. They commuted to there, and so I had an opportunity to know some Jewish people. In fact, I went out with a boy to the DSO to a concert, and we were driving home on the lodge, and we got stopped by the police, and we were going too slow. Now, the police officer was very polite, and before I knew it, he was arrested, and the officer wondered, did I drive and did I have a driver's license? Would I drive the car back to the dorm, or wherever he was living in a dorm at that time? And I said yes, and he said, call my friend. So I called my friend, who said, not again. So that was actually my first experience going to the DSO, and my first experience being stopped by the police and having to drive the car home. But it was another opportunity to know more people and know about people. And finally, I ended up at Wayne State, which was probably the greatest experience of my life. We lived in the Cass Corridor in an old hotel, was the dormitory. The boys on 2 floors and the girls on 2 floors, and never the twain shall meet, although we did occasionally, I'll say that. But there I had a black roommate, I had a roommate from India, I had a roommate from Brazil, and I met all kinds of people that I never had met before. And I really got to think, there's a big world out there. And at U of G, we always heard about people who smoked pot. At Wayne, we knew people who smoked pot. So that was another thing. I had a very good friend who I knew was gay. It was never discussed. I knew other people who were gay, but it wasn't yet a topic of conversation. But we knew they were there, and we knew who they were. So that was another experience for me. Now, I was from the era when girls became teachers, social workers, secretaries, and I wanted to become a social worker, and like Joan, I did that. But it isn't unusual that I ended up in this church after that experience, because I came in contact with a number of people. Another experience I had in the summer, teachers and people from the South often would come to Wayne to add to their credits. I ran into a woman who I assumed was white, and she very quickly, when her husband came to visit, who was very black, let me know that she was passing. She didn't, but she passed because she was so white. But I knew then that she came from the South, and that was important for her to let me know that she too was black. So that was another experience. So it was a wonderful thing. And when I found this church, I said, this is the church for me. So as I say, I woke up and I thought my life has been a series of getting to know other people and getting involved with other people. So thank you very much. And I will take my old body with the handle to get down the steps. And I would like you to come to one of the Daytimers meetings to meet a wonderful group of people. You don't probably need this mic.
Well, I don't know. Morning. My name's Mike DeMott. I have all these papers, but don't worry, it's not that long. But anyway, when I had learned that we were going to be talking about this, belonging, and so I started thinking about it. And the more I thought about it, I thought, wow, this is really good. It's not like it's a whole new concept to me, but, as I thought about it, it became clearer to me. I thought, okay, this is kind of like what I've been doing throughout my life, is trying to find ways to belong, ways to connect, and to, have a satisfying, rich life. So I was really glad to have this opportunity, to do this, this thinking about this and to talk about it. And I think, this church is just so good. Other churches I've gone to too, it's just a great thing that you can learn about these things that are so helpful to you. Have been very helpful to me in my life, learning. And so, I wish the whole country would start to do UU things. So, but anyway, it just seems like, you start out with your family, and that may be good, and it may not be so good. And so, you end up trying to learn how to connect and how to have a satisfying life. And I don't think it's always an easy thing. I think people struggle with that. And so I just think the more that, we do things like this, and if the country did more things like this, it would help people. Let's see. Like about 5-6 years ago, my wife and I retired. And so that's been a good experience. We've had time to seek out new opportunities, new activities, meet new people. And so that's been good. I've learned more about myself, more about other people, what suits me. So I was just going to quick tell you about 3 things that I thought of. Like I play pickleball, which is great fun. And then when you play pickleball, you have a partner. So in having your partner, I've gradually learned as far as you can have a great time with your partner. You can really have fun. And that's really the main point for me, is to enjoy that and to have that connection with that person. So that's one thing. And then the other thing, I joined this organization recently, and it's they were where they were selling brats at the downtown Farmington market a couple weeks ago. So I went over there, and I said I'm new, and so they welcomed me. There was about 4 people there, and so it was teamwork. We were putting the brats out and giving them to the people, and it was really satisfying. It was really a good feeling. You were part of a team. You were doing something that people liked. I mean, they enjoyed the brats, or they enjoyed getting the brats. So it was a good experience. And then last thing is, I've been involved in some of the political demonstrations, and those are the type of thing where, you go up and you're standing there with your sign, and you're standing next to the road, and there's people there that, you don't know them. You might know a few now and then, but you get to know people, and you end up talking. And so it's a nice connection, and you really kind of have the same purpose. So that's been great. And then lastly, the woman who's kind of in charge of the organization and organizing, and she says, well, wave to the people, wave to the cars. And I thought, oh, well, I'll try that, I don't know. So I start waving, and, and some people are waving back. So that's nice. Not always. Sometimes there's a little bit obscene gestures that come in there, but that's okay. That happens. That's part of the conflicts, but, managing those. So anyway, it's, it's a good experience. You feel like you are connecting with people, and you're trying to, help make things better. So anyway, thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is John Modine, and I'm an ACOA. What does that mean? I am the child of alcoholics, which is, I hope everybody got a pamphlet. I brought pamphlets here so everybody could get one, and I hope you take one home and give it to somebody. And to put this into, both of my parents were alcoholics, and to give you a kind of a understanding of where my father came from, he was born in 1904. And when you were drunk and you fell off your horse, it was no big deal. But if you're drunk and you crashed your car, it's a big deal. And that's the way he grew up. And he grew up, and my mother grew up in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. Some of you may have been there, some of you may not. And when you go to family reunions, you learn a lot. One of the things that I learned a lot is they like smuggling whiskey across the St. Mary's River across the ice. They did that every year during Prohibition. My grandfather, my father's father, he owned a bar. He owned a bar right there in St. Mary, in Sault Ste. Marie. Just to give you some background of what it was like. When you go to the family reunion, I found out that they called my dad a bar sweeper. He always swept the bar because his father owned the bar. Well, he probably had a lot to drink. Oh, I got a note here, and I want to say that I would like to thank my ACA sponsor, a lady named Charlene. Marvelous lady, has spent a lot of time with me to get me to this point over the last 12 years or more. So I did grow up an alcoholic. I haven't had a drink in over 14 years, But I fought it every step of the way. I want to tell you, I was never easy, in coming in that. Let's see. Some of the things that I can remember as a childhood growing up is I can remember the police coming to the house many times because my parents would be arguing about this and that. I don't even remember. I used to sit on the stairs. We lived in a story and a half home in Wyandotte, and I used to sit on the stairs trying to figure out what the hell was going on. One of the things I remember they argued about was JWs, Jehovah's Witnesses, because there was a lady down the street, and she was a JW. And some of the characteristics that adult children have is you don't talk. You don't talk of what's going on in your family. You don't ever do that. You don't ask questions. You just accept, and that's how you grow up. That's how I grew up. Let's see. Alcoholics frequently, or children of alcoholics, they lack a sense of process. They're very good at starting shit. Oh, we're great at starting shit. And we can do the endings fairly well, but the middle shit, we don't get it at all. And I think that is a good way to look at it, And, we grow up, we perceive the world entirely different. I've had many problems with alcohol. I've had many problems with drugs, in my lifetime. But I've had a wonderful life. I got to tell you, I have had a wonderful life because it was so much better than what I grew up as a child. Holy shit, this was gimme. You know, I had a wonderful job. My bosses really liked me because I was an electrician in Fort Rouge, you know, and I did one thing that the bosses really liked. I liked all them high, hot, and dirty jobs. You know, if it was high, I'll take it. Most people don't want to work high. You don't want to work off one of them picks, which is them things that they walk around. Dirty, oh man, I love foundries, steel mills. You know, people don't even function. They don't even have jobs like that in this country anymore. I love coke ovens. Holy shit. You know, man, but that's how I grew up. That was my life, you know. Let's see. I'm a sugar alcoholic. That's the largest group of alcoholics there is. You know, and what I mean by that is our body metabolizes sugar, so that's what it affects us. You know, the next two groups of alcoholics are the depression alcoholics and the anxiety alcoholics. And then you get into all kinds of combinations. But if you can get those three, you know, down, you're pretty well. And the reason I say my life was spectacular, because I grew up with abuse, abandonment, and neglect. That's what I grew up with, you know. And one thing that ACA teaches you is you got to reparent your life. You know, well, I'll tell you, 5 minutes is not nearly enough for me to talk about this subject.
But you'll get another opportunity, I promise.
You know, and there are talks online because that's just the way that I am. They record it. And, you know, it's the way it is. Hey, thank you. And if I could just get somebody to say, hey, maybe I ought to check that out, I would appreciate that. Thank you.
John actually hosts a Monday night gathering for folks who are interested in joining with others. So we have been running a notice about that in the Magnet for a while, and if you have any questions, please reach out to him, and he will get another opportunity to share more of his story. So please rise as you are able for body or spirit to sing number 188, Come, Come, Whoever You Are, in our gray hymnal.
Another round. Going to sing it through once, and then they're part two, right? I failed to mention that the other building bridges, but we all did great.
Are from Reverend Scott Taylor. He writes, having received sanctuary for our heavy hearts, may we make shelter for those feeling alone. Having been renewed in spirit, may we remind others why hope is always worth the risk. Having returned to the truth of our interconnection, may we remember that injustice afflicted on one is injustice afflicted on us all. And having received the blessing of belonging, may we work to widen the circles that have kept others out for far too long. Amen, and blessed be.